right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 19 of the Beginner to Master Azul series. I am feeling a little bit under the weather, so if my voice doesn't sound the same, just the congestion. And I probably should not be playing Azul when I'm not feeling 100%, but I have nothing better to do. So, where we last left off, I think my account was around 735 at the end of the last episode. And yeah, I think we can actually check. Basically, so this was the end of the last episode. It was Myro Mage, Killer BR, Gonzalo, and Unscarium. So 735 at the end of the last episode, and I've basically gone on a massive heater since then. And I'm currently at 793. Prior to doing this series, the highest ELO I had reached was 782, almost like a year ago. So this is the highest I've been. This is the closest to 800 I've ever been. 800 has been a goal of mine for a long time. And honestly, I am extremely anxious to play these games. And playing them on video is maybe even more anxiety inducing. But since the other account got flagged as a duplicate and I no longer have the natural endpoint of reaching 700 on that account, I thought perhaps reaching 800 on this account would be a fitting end to the series. So if I'm able to reach 800 in this episode, then I'll probably call this the last episode, do like a recap episode for episode 20. And I think that'll be a very fitting ending. So I'm 7 ELO away, which means that depending on the strength of my opponent, I might only need one game, maybe 2 games. And I'd like the episode to be, 2 to 3 games. And if I'm being honest, like I'm pretty terrified of playing, let's say, like a 650 player right now. And have maybe, a 60% chance to win or something. And basically any loss at this point is going to drop me at least 10 points and it'll take a while to climb back. So I think I might just, instead of creating an expert game, just leave this up to the Azul gods, and I will play some arena. So we might not get the same expert level of gameplay that we've been doing for the past couple of episodes, but this will be maybe a little more get me more games in, and kind of add to the excitement by adding the factor of not knowing the strength of my opponent. Okay, so yeah, super red heavy draw here, red and blue. And I don't think it should surprise anyone based on my tendencies that I'm planning on taking this group of 4 red for row 5. And we will go from there. If you have not watched earlier episodes in the series and wondering why I wouldn't play that on row 4. I don't really like building on the edges, so um, row 5 gives me the opportunity to still build one of the 3 middle columns while taking advantage of this group of 4 red. So now this is kind of interesting because I can take this red tile, finish my row 5, and just lock in the first player tile, but I could also take 2 blue and kind of try to hurt my opponent's row 4. So thinking about this play, I would then have to like take another blue at some point, which could totally happen. So let's see. Let's make the blue play. Row 3 blue is also an interesting idea, but then all the reds can get grouped up, which isn't the end of the world because it's row 1. Okay, so a bit of an odd play here to go for row 3 red. Maybe their idea is I take this red, they take that red, and then the 2 blue are grouped up, but I will just take the 2 blue in that scenario. So I'm going to grab the red and get the first player tile. And I'll take these 2 blue for row 1. And 2 white for row 3. Okay. So obviously a white heavy draw, which is good for our opponent. They want row 5 white. Not going to be able to defend this 2 blue. I mean, I could play it on row 5, but like then I'm just giving them 2 yellow for row 3 or row 2. So I think in this case, just better to like let them have this and focus on my own priorities. So when I look at this board, obviously I don't want them to make so much progress on row 5 white. So I'm thinking about basically taking the 3 white for row 2. But I guess they can't finish it out anyway. Like if I take the 2 white and then one of these, the most they can get is 4. So maybe the 3 white's not worth the negative. The other thing is that I'm actually not going to make any progress on row 4 black. So there's a world in which I could go for like row 4 white and row 2 yellow. But I don't like the idea of just like starting with 3 white on row 4 and then having both of these open. It gives my opponent a little too much counterplay. So let's keep it kind of simple and we'll just start with this row 2 white. Okay, I've liked that they've, oh, maybe not. Okay, I like that they've done this because this gives me the opportunity to group up all these blues. So I'm gonna go ahead and take the 2 yellow. And they can obviously play row 3 blue, but you know, then they're delayed on row 4 and row 5 more. And yeah, I'm filling out my white. Okay, so yeah, so they're in a tough spot because they only get one more tile placement after this. So by filling out this blue, they're ensuring that they're not going to get one of row 3 or I'm sorry, row 1 or row 2. For me, I can't really just take this 1 black because then they can take the 3 yellow and I'm out 3 red. So I'm actually gonna move, but no matter what, like if I take 3 yellow here, then they just take 1 black and I'm out the 3 red anyway. Granted, I could at that point play the red and try to build this first column instead of the second column. Is that worth it? I would need 2 more yellow. I would need 3 blacks. Okay, I think I'm just gonna continue where we are. I think I'm gonna have a pretty big advantage at the end of this round, so I'm okay with taking these negatives. And I don't necessarily mean a big points advantage, but my board is much more developed, and that will lead to sorry, one sec. That will lead to an advantage later in the game. Okay, so my opponent defending blacks. That makes sense. Things that I'm looking for, grouping up these 2 yellow. A bit unfortunate that we didn't get more yellow there. Preventing my opponent from getting 2 red. And maybe trying to prevent them from finishing this black as well. So I might just like immediately put pressure on black. The other thing that's good for me is creating a group of 2 whites to try to force them to take the last remaining single white. So I will do that. And the nice thing here is if they take this single white, I will get to row 3 blue, which is nice for me and would also be nice for them. So one of us will walk away with this row 3 blue advantage, yeah. So I think they could have considered just like taking the 2 white from the middle instead of taking this 1 white. Okay. So the thing I'm running into now is getting my 2 yellow or 2 red. What I could do is take 1 black, kind of force them to take 1 black, and then I take 2 yellow. They get their 2 red, excuse me. Actually, you know what I'll do first, maybe? No, this doesn't quite work. I could take a red, but then they just take a black, and unless they take the wrong black, I won't get my 2 yellow. Okay, let's just go for this. Take 1 black for row 1. I assume they will take a black here. Okay. And then I'll grab my 2 yellow. Yeah, so this is a mistake. Well, in my opinion, it is. I think the 2 red was a higher priority there. This will work out nicely for them, I guess, because they're building this second column in a way. But so it's getting like adjacency with itself. So I guess that wasn't as bad as I initially stated. So props to my opponent for thinking creatively here. So the thing I need to be aware of now is reds. There's 5 left. They need 5 to build a second column. But I think we'll see that like by the end of this round, maybe I'm going to be pretty far ahead, potentially just they're going to be lacking in point scoring in their upper rows. Okay. I have a lot of flexibility, but I do want to just get these 2 black out of the way. So I think I'll go with this group of 2 black. Okay, interesting that they take 2 blue. I'm just going to take the one red with the first player tile for the last round. Okay, and I have flexibility in terms of row 3. Well, actually, no, I don't. I need the 2 black for row 2, so I can't get row 3 black, so I'm looking at row 3 yellow. So I think I will play the 2 yellow now. This forces them to take the blues right away. And now I can take my 2 black for row 2, and I'm guaranteed to also finish this yellow. They're going to score really well here, so like they should just take the 2 white. I'm going to have some very unlikely opportunities at completing a second column as well. But yeah, they're not going to be able to finish this one. So this is just about, and they haven't finished their first one yet, so they need to be careful. So I'm just going to go for ending the game. I'm down by 2, but interesting that they're prioritizing this. So one thing I can do is just take 2 white for my row 1 and then take another white at some point, and then this is completely shut down. So let's go for that, I think. And then for row 3, we're safe with red or black if that happens, and row 4, we're safe for whites. So we're not really exposed to any potential negatives. Okay, so yeah, now we can just take this white and we can actually play it because we've now ensured that they'll take these yellows, the 5 yellows, so we're not in danger of needing to play those yellows anymore. And let's see, they can't point on anything, so yeah, it doesn't matter at this point what we take. And because of this massive negative from the yellows, we'll win by quite a good margin. All right, let's see how many points we get. 794. It's gonna be a really long episode if this keeps happening. But all right, we can see if there's anything available. So yeah, we saw there like my opponent basically in some situations not filling in their top rows and instead focusing more on bottom rows. Okay, 1643, so maybe this person might be in the 300 to 400 range. Okay, opting for row 2 yellow. In this situation, like the only group available is this 2 white, and if I do that, I just give them 2 blue for the center, for row 3 blue, which is really strong for them. So I'm just going to take a black for row 1. And, they can take, okay, so they opt not to take the white. So I think I will take the white at this point. And let's see if they will give me row 3 white, or if they take this 1 white, then they jeopardize their row 3 blue. Okay, so we will trade row 3s. I'll get white. They'll get blue. And the thing that they need that I also need is black. So I will start working on row 4 black. Yeah, kind of an awkward situation for them. Like, really all they can do is take a black. Um, would be interesting for them to just like take one red and throw it away, but I think you just take a black. Okay, so they're pivoting, um, which is totally legit. So again, though, I'm just going to keep going on black, and with these three in the middle, I can guarantee myself a row 2, so I'm not worried about that. Um, so let's do a red now. We'll see if they play the black. Okay, so yeah, this is part of the reason I took the red over the black is I wanted to give them the opportunity to make a mistake here, which in my opinion, playing those blues is a mistake. Like it feels awkward to take that one black and play it, which I believe to be the correct play. And so now we'll see this like crisscross situation that I've talked about a lot. And how they handle it. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Obviously, we want to contribute to reds and to blacks. We're not going to be able to stop this row 4 blue. At least not easily, actually. I could go for row 3 blue. I mean, they can still take one, and then I take one, and they take one. That does give me 4 reds in the middle, which is nice. But I'm a little risky on row 2. So I think the best play for me here is to try to end up with row 2 blue so that my reds can contribute to row 5. And I do think I'm just going to start with reds and kind of eliminate the possibility of them finishing out row 5 red right away. And I'll grab these 2 blacks while they're here with the first player token. Okay. This is kind of interesting because taking a red means giving them a blue, which, I'm sorry, giving them 2 blue, which I don't particularly want to do. But my options are very limited. And then conversely, like I don't want to take 1 blue and then they take 1 blue and then they get the reds. So I do think that's the I do think that's the better scenario though. So let's go for this. Okay, so let's take the blue from the factory because now if they take this red, I can take 2 black and then they're left with 4 white for their row 2, which isn't good. The question is, do I want to play these blacks on row 3? And doesn't look terrible, but where are my blues going next round? Okay, I'm running out of time, so let's just play them. Okay, we'll play. Actually, let's take the 2 yellow because I'm getting points from the blue and the black. So this yellow will contribute more points to my row 2 blue and my row 4 black, so it's worth it to take the extra negative there. And I'm gonna have to be fast here. Okay, so yeah, let's just finish out our row 5 before I get timed out by my opponent and tragically lose like 15 points. Yeah, pretty simple this round. Looking at finishing this, getting row 2 white, maybe row 2 red. Let's take row 1 red for the first player tile. And to keep our clock in good shape. Happy to take 2 black here maybe to hurt theirs just a little bit. And I'm able to score on either row 2 white or red, so it'll be red based on their decision. And now they've kind of shut off their option for row 4 black, so now they're into building this column. So now they need 5 black. Let's take this white away. Sorry to have to be rushing through this. Okay, so I'm going to take and play the yellows. I don't want to go an additional -4 when I'm already -4. And of course, they would benefit from those yellows greatly. So taking those. Eight yellows, wow. Bit of bad luck for my opponent. Not a lot of blacks available. There's only 3 white, so like I do actually kind of want row 2 white instead of row 2 black, but I think shutting down their dreams of working on row 5 black this round is worth it. And, you know, if I don't finish row 2 white, I'm up by 8, so hopefully I've got the buffer needed to be okay there. I do, however, want to make sure I get row 1 white so that I only need 2 of the 3 instead of all 3. Let's do that, and presumably our opponent will take the last remaining row 1 white. Oh, they don't, which I guess makes sense. It's not really threatened. That being said, I might threaten it. I think I might take this black tile just to prevent their row 1. And like I should be able to just scoop up row 3 yellow and row 4 yellow. So I'm not worried about my own scoring much here. So let's go ahead and grab the row 4 yellow. And yeah, I think we just take 2 white here, throw it away. They have nothing to play. So they can either take these 3 yellow away from me, though that's -5 to prevent me from scoring 3. So yeah, or they're going to end up with -5 anyway from the blues and the reds. Okay, so we're up by 8, and our opponent doesn't have a column yet, though they are guaranteed to be able to get one. So obviously we want to group 2 white, we want to get 1 blue. A nice bonus would be 3 red or 3 blue. The blues are free for us, so our opponent can't play blues. So probably row 3 blue and then row 4 red is best. So let's go for red row 4, just as a way to give my opponent more things to think about. So they have to think about row 1 black, they have to think about row 2 red, and they have to think about row 5 black. Okay. I can't actually prevent them from getting the reds. Oh, what am I doing? I want row 2 white. So definitely needed to secure that. Yeah, so now they can go for the reds. So we're going to let the reds go here, and instead collect on row 3 blue at some point. And we're taking the last tiles, so we want to leave row 5 open for these yellows. So let's just take 1 red. They will presumably take 2 black. If they don't, we'll take it from them. And so these blues are worth 7 to me. Whereas them taking them from me is -5, so I think better to play them. And they just take the white, I take the yellows. And we will, oh, they take the yellows. Yeah, of course. They can't play the white and they can't play the yellows. So, makes sense. Okay, so we got 2 points there, up to 796. And let's keep rolling. I didn't actually check the what the ELO of our opponent was that game. Oh, same opponent, so we'll get to do this again. Ideally, that would not have happened. Maybe I should have waited before queuing up again. All right, so I think, so you might be tempted to take 1 white and then just make sure that you have row 4, that you secure row 4 white, but in doing so, you're going to give your opponent like 3 white, maybe on row 3, and then they're going to be able to get 2 yellow and the first player tile. So I slightly prefer just taking 3 white from the get-go. And I think because there's a lot of yellow, I want to be building upper row yellows. So I'm going to take 3 white on row 5 and not build the second column for once. And now I get to grab this yellow with the first player tile, and I will have, interesting. So now they're kind of committed to building the right column. So I think I'm happy to just take the reds here for my row 2. And I will grab the blue and play either the black or the white. They're both on my side of the board, so it doesn't make a huge difference. And this makes a small dent in their row 5, which also helps my row 4. Okay. So obviously we're looking at finishing out our row 4. And row 5 will be tough, but we'll try to make it happen. If we can get our opponent to take like a row 1 or a row 2 before these whites get grouped up, then maybe we can do it. But for now, let's start with some blues. And in that situation, I think a lot of people take the singular blue because then you're guaranteed one of the groups of 2 to finish it. But this is something I learned from watching Sapper a lot. He will just take the greater number of tiles. And I think the idea is like, let's say for some reason at the end of the round, I don't end up finishing this row. Now I have 3 there instead of 2. So if for some reason I don't get these other blues, I have made more progress than if I had just taken the singular blue. Okay, so let's go ahead and grab this black. So this prevents our opponent from being able to finish this row 5 black that they started. And it's nice adjacency and the first player tile for us. Okay. We've got possibilities of row 3 red. But let's grab this blue. So this leaves blue or yellow available to us on row 2. Obviously yellow would be preferred. So we'll grab that now. Okay. So this just gives me row 3 red. I'm not sure why my opponent chose that. And I don't think that that singular black tile was of too much importance there. In that last pick, I could have opted to take these 2 blues from them. So basically like preventing their future scoring at the expense of my row 5. But white is the second most used tile behind yellow. So it was unlikely that we would only get 1 or 2 whites. But you can see now, like, if I had to fill 2, I need 2 of these 3. So that gives my opponent some defensive opportunities. So taking that white was beneficial for me, given that the tile counts for white were on the lower side. Okay, so yeah, I mean, row 3 blue is just a slam dunk here. Very strong for me. I have options on row 2 that I don't need to worry about. Okay, so let's take the possibility of row 2 red away from my opponent and continue our upper row adjacency. And let's go for 2 blue instead of 2 black because there's only 4 blue left versus 8 black. And I'm going to give my opponent the opportunity to group up 2 whites, and I will probably take them if they do so. Yeah, and so this is especially damning. So if they had taken something else, they could still get row 2 black when I take these 2 whites. but now that they've played 2 black here, they have to choose between black for, yeah, row 4 or row 2. Let's take the black and hoping that they will let, I don't know about that. So I'm going to take the yellows. They will be good future point scoring. Some wild draws this game. So we need to get row 2 black because we can't get row 2 white. And other than that, we're basically like playing yellows and reds on row 4 and 5. There's not a whole lot else to this round. So let's grab a black. I'm not really gonna defend this much. When my opponent presumably takes this black, I will group the remaining 5 reds together. Or not the remaining 5, but create a group of 5 such that this is very expensive for them to fill. Yeah. And let's take these 3 yellows so they can't get row 3 yellow. And this is kind of a situation where like I'm up by 16, so having them get a column isn't the worst thing in the world, but getting messy with like if I had ended up with not completing this yellow and not completing this red, then like next round I'm in danger of so there's 7 whites left, so I think I can get 4 of them for row 2 and row 3. But yeah, putting myself in danger of taking big negatives next round. And this is important. This is why we keep tile counts. There's only 2 blue left, so I don't want to play these on row 5. There's no way to build the column. I still need 1 blue up here, so we just throw these away. In a very close game, maybe I would play them on row 5, despite what I just said, just because I don't want the extra -3. But in this case, I want extra dumping grounds for red or white or black. Okay, so our opponent looking at building 2 columns, but again, we're up by 21, so this isn't really a threat. And again, if they want to do it, we're going to make them take 4 reds for row 1, which means they won't get a row 2. So just lots of negatives and less point scoring in general. Okay. And let's see. I think best for us is technically to take a yellow. So they were going to probably get these blacks anyway. And they're worth 3 points, but will come with -5, so it's a net negative for them. Okay, another one in the books. Another 2 points. This opponent is in the high 300s. So 798, potentially 1 game away. And I'll give it a minute just so I don't get that same opponent. Maybe I will do another episode of like expert level games after this one if I reach 800 in this one. Let's check the recording time. 45 minutes. Okay, so we're going pretty fast actually. Okay, 1912. So, ooh, I get a good challenge for my gatekeeper game into the 800 club. Okay. So what do we want to do here? Everything's pretty good. I could play row 3 white. I could play row 4 white. I don't think I want to play row 5 white. Okay, let's stick with what we know. We'll build the second column. I think the thing with like row 4 white is that then I'm kind of dependent on blue, which is a very, like they just instantly take that away from me. So by doing this, I have a little bit more flexibility. Like obviously they could take black away, but yeah, and I guess they choose to do that. So now they're looking at white and blue. So I think I'll just go ahead and take blue. Now this gives them either black or red, yeah. But I would have been happy with either of the other ones, so it's in a way like mutually beneficial. And I have a big-ish lead in that I've completed my row 3. Okay, can I do anything interesting here? I think I can just secure row 4 yellow as like a little bonus. So I'll take one white, and then I guess they could take row 2 yellow, but I suspect they'll take row 2 blue. Okay, so they do the yellow. And what do I want to give them? The white or the blue? I think because there was more white in this round and because they need more white than they do blue, I'm going to give them the blue and take away the white, with the hopes that they won't be able to finish this white next round and that they would have finished the blue anyway next round. Yeah, so you can kind of see that play out. Like there's 4 blue this round. They maybe would have been able to finish it anyway, but there's only 3 whites, so they definitely can't do that. Okay, so they go on red defense. But I think what I'll do is pressure black, which will then allow me to pressure blue, and maybe pick up these reds in the meantime anyway. So let's do the black that puts 2 blue in the middle. So this will allow us to further group blues, and we have row 3 blue open. Yeah, so now we can create a group of 3 blue and either force them to way overpay for their blue or secure row 3 blue for ourselves. So we'll take 2 yellow and create that group of 3 blue. So like, I understand why they wanted to, yeah, so here we go. I understand why they wanted to defend red, obviously, but um, put them in a position where I could force their hand on blacks. So had they started with black, it would have been a little bit neater, I suppose. Um, okay, so if I take two red and they take a red, then yeah, I get stuck with the last pick. Um, I kind of want to group these reds together and see what they do. Obviously, it groups the whites, which is beneficial to them. So if I take the blue, they can take the whites and then the yellows, and I get the reds. If I take a yellow, then I can potentially get one blue for my row 3, which I kind of like, and yeah, let's go for that. I'm very curious if they'll take the reds here because it's like an even trade, right? And I mean, they would be going more negative than I would be going. So in a way, it's not an even trade. There's actually a question for me, like, let's say they just take one yellow and put the decision on me. Do I take the reds or the whites? Okay, so they take the whites. Maybe. They take the yellow. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 reds of 12 remaining. And they need 4, 5, 6, 7 whites. So I think I'm going to take the whites. And they get more negatives anyway. Granted, we're probably going to be like 0-0 anyway. But I think I'd take the white. This might like really come back to haunt me, especially, you know what? They still have it open versus I can close out this. They're going to score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minus 6 is 2. I'm going to score 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is 9. Okay, let's take, we'll have the point advantage. And I can play this blue, which I like. Would have been able to do that anyway, but yeah, so we're up by 7. So let's not like really hurt our position. Ugh, God. Only 3 black really sucks. So what do we do here? And he gets this awesome row 3 yellow play. Like, maybe not a reason for me to have taken row 3. Honestly, I'm thinking about taking 4 yellow on row 5 just to, like, take away 5 points. I don't know if this player would time me out. Um, let's put some pressure on white. Okay, so now we can dump 5 red on them, which they can play, so that's not like the end of the world, but not a good round at all. Luckily, we're up by 7, so we can withstand some of this, but um, pretty rough, really. Pretty rough. Okay, so we're going to be in a tie game. 2, 3. Okay, so I think just taking this blue, getting the first player tile for the last round. I'm good on row 2 red most likely. Hopefully I can get my row 4 black. They're not forced to take row 2 blue, but it would be less, yeah. So, okay. I don't want to put 2 black in the center and have them like take it on row 1 or row 4, so I might end up having to pay a little extra for some reds here, but I do just want to get this black out of the way. Presumably they take this 1 black. Oh, interesting. Okay. I don't know that that was like totally necessary, to be honest. The yellows aren't worth much for me. It does clog up a row for me next round, but so the goal here is not to end up with these 4 whites as negatives. And to do that, we might have to give up the black. So there's 5 blacks left, which means I can get the 3 that I need next round. So I'm just going to ensure that they end up taking those whites. Presumably they'll play these black maybe. And I'll throw away the reds. And now they are probably also playing those whites. So we both have some open rows. They're incomplete rows heading into the last round. And I'm down by 2, so what can we do here? Well, we've got 3 yellow, which is awesome. So we'll be able to point there, and they won't be able to point on row 3. Okay, so let's go ahead and end this. I think we'll be able to, because of this row 3 yellow, we should be able to win. We need to be careful about blues. This is the other path to winning is making the opponent take blue negatives. And I obviously need 1 blue, so I'm going to take this black from the center, so I'll take a -1, but I keep the board flexible for me. I have 2 options for blue. And I can group these whites together. And when I do this, so they take white, then there's 4 in the middle, which means I will get stuck with those 3 blue, but I get to take my 1 yellow and then my 3 yellow, I'm not sure if that's going to be enough, but they can't take, they have to take the 3 yellow to force the last pick on me, which they do, which means they're going super negative. So now I take the blacks from them, they play the reds, I go an extra negative, but I'm outscoring them this round. So I should end up on top here by a very slim margin. 3 points. I'm, in a way, glad that it ended on a very competitive game. I would have felt bad if I just beat the same like 300 level player 4 times to get to 800, but ending it against a 640 or 646 makes this feel a little bit more legitimate. So up to 804. And depending on whether, yeah, so that's 8th. Currently, I think I would have just passed Dry MG, who was at 803 or 802. So this is a big milestone for me. And honestly, like when I started this series, when I first started thinking about doing this series, I was somewhere around here. And those tournaments for the Portugal World Championship qualifier, like I completely tanked during those, and I was feeling really low about Azul. And I started thinking like, oh, maybe instead of playing, I'll take a break and do this guide. And doing this has really like revitalized my Azul play and my love for the game. So do just want to thank you all for the support and watching the videos and messages. Like Mei is someone who I met through the series, and I've gotten other people just sending me messages, and obviously like the comments on the videos. And this is like a joy for me to do. It's been very fun. So thank you all for the support. This is really awesome for me. Very happy about this, and I'll do like a recap video for the series, but I do think this will probably be the last like gameplay video in the beginner to master series. And one of the things I'll talk about is like peaks in your rating versus your baseline play. So I have no illusion that I'm gonna maintain 800. So while I'm super happy that I hit it, I think I'll probably drop below 750 sometime soon. So what I look for when I'm looking at whether or not I have progressed as a player is my lower level baseline improving as opposed to my peak. So at some point my lower level baseline was 400, and then it maybe hit 450, and then I wasn't dropping below 550, and honestly since then like I'm still prone to drop to 600. But so hoping to keep my baseline a little bit higher, but super happy with this peak. So again, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.